This video is an example of critique because I'm literally critiquing a scientific paper, ostensibly a scientific paper, on the behavior of mother quokka, scientific name, long one, within the jarrah forest within Western Australia. When trapped by researchers, when approached by researchers, and when anesthetized by researchers, either for a radio collar study or radio collar application, it's left kind of vague. No, they don't throw their babies or expel them or anything. The words throw and drop were never used in this article. The word expel is used only twice within one paragraph. The article appeared in 2005, Wildlife Research, some sort of scientific publication. I'm assuming it's volume 32 from the notations, and it's from page 715 to 722. Short read. Authors are Matt W. Hayward, Paul J. DeTorres, Michael L. Augee, and Peter B. Banks. I will read this in what I'm referring to as explanatory order. I'm not reading it verbatim except where indicated. The reason for that is this is a bunch of spin doctoring. When trapped and aware of an approaching researcher, a quokka, male or female implied here, generally will attempt to escape, and during a violent evasive set of movements within the cage, if it's a female and it has larger young in its pouch, the presumption here is if it has young, they're all the same age, and I'm assuming it's the largest one or it's just one large baby. They don't specify. The young were often, and this is the direct words that are used, not the direct quote. These are the words, dislodged or released from the pouch of females. Dislodged implies that they fell out. Released implies some voluntary action. There's a lot of coded and loaded language here that I'm dismantling. This is not going to be a fair and balanced critique. This is among only radio-monitored individuals they're discussing in the next part, where they say the pouch young had a 100% survivor rate if they were taped back into the pouch. But why do you need to do that? Because they had sedated the mother and claimed that this had caused the pouch opening muscles to relax. Now I'm going to review the scenario. You're walking over to the Starbucks. You find out it's a trap. It's actually a prison cell. You and your baby are trapped in there, and you're holding your baby closely, along with your latte, because somehow you got one. And then up walks a full-grown pair of T-Rexes, eyes face forward, clever girl mode, wearing lab coats. And you're freaking the fuck out. And they're grabbing you. And you drop your baby, and then they anesthetize you, and you drop it if you didn't already. Now I'm going to read the next set of sentences. They're taken out of context, right? No, I want you to go read the damn thing. It's only a few pages. Because this happened, it must imply it's unlikely that it is an accident caused by the researchers caging, anesthetizing, and terrifying the mother. The mothers have muscular control over the pouch opening, as evidenced by you basically knocking them out and them relaxing it. Trapping was unlikely to have inhibited any population recovery or caused any stress to the mother or to the baby or killed any of them. Of course not. No, I'm not going to be fair here. This sounds like somebody trying to defend themselves in a case where they're accused of academic buffoonery. But anyway, let's move on. This is not referencing them, of course. But this is the only source for anything like they throw their young. I'm not kidding. And it was requoted by some Instagram posting, which is where everybody gets this meme from. It has nothing to do with anything other than these statements I made. And yes, I'm going to deliberately couch this way. If the pouch release is found to be a physical action by the mother, then it can be viewed as a useful predator avoidance strategy. If, that's a direct quote, by the way. I didn't alter that. No comedy bit. If we can prove that this is caused by the mother, and we state that it's a predator avoidance strategy, we can't be blamed for the subsequent reduction in these animals in the area. Oops, I'm sorry. We were supposed to just research them, not stress the mothers out to where they stopped taking care of their young and the population dropped or whatever the hell happened. I'm sure there's another counter research study to try to find out what the hell happened, because this sounds like a bunch of people playing damage control. I'm not saying that. You can't sue me now. It's a behavioral response. That's an assertion made. Now we go with the explanation. Again, this is going to be retyped up, or I will have direct quotes. The pouch young were actually physically expelled by the mother, voluntarily, because that's totally how you perpetuate your species. When a female quokka becomes aware of a life-threatening interaction with a predator, now you're extrapolating shit you only saw happening because of you walking up to the cage, to what they do when they're not in the cage and they're running around outside and can climb trees or whatever else they do. She may expel her offspring. Then the pouch young will flounder on the ground and hiss loudly. Is hissing loudly actually what they do when they're under stress? Is that really what happens? Does anybody want to look up baby quokkas and see if they make that noise if they're not getting their way? When let's say they're throwing a hissy fit. Do they actually make that noise, or do they make a completely unrelated noise? And I'm not sure what subsequent noise, whatever it is, then attracts the attention of the approaching predator. But the predator was chasing a large target it had fixated on, that wasn't trapped in a cage, running in circles, trying to get away from the equivalent to us seeing a T-Rex coming at us at the Starbucks. The predator would take the young, or it would be likely in such circumstances, unless the baby did another behavior that I'm going to bring up. Comparable behavior has been seen in other marsupials. Well, thank you for specifying that it can't happen with mammals and other creatures that aren't marsupials. Let's talk. Banks, that was one of the names, 1997 work, gray kangaroos, when chased by foxes, dropped their pouched young. Not expelled, not thrown, dropped. Dropped? Did you sedate them? Robert, Shaw, and Harden. Robert, Shaw, and Harden. I don't know. Just 1985, 1986. Now, we're going back 10 and 20 years from 2005 or so, almost. They decided, Robert, Shaw, Harden, etc., decided a high proportion of young bicolor swamp wallabies that were taken by dingoes were thought to be ejected by the mother. The word ejected is used. Or not. This has been observed in other marsupials. Mothers dropping their young when being chased by a predator. There's no videos on the net of gray kangaroos running away from a predator, stringing out a group of them possibly out of a group of kangaroos being attacked, and then turning on them and stomping the living shit out of them. No. And they're never seen to drop their young and lead the predator away and again kick the dog shit out of them. I don't know if you understand this, but human beings are one of the tallest predators on the planet. And kangaroos are taller, okay? When Australia, where your meal is going to be able to box you, quite literally. But no, they drop their babies. They throw them. They sacrifice them, because that's how you progress the population. Okay. But wallabies, which basically look like little dinky jackrabbit-sized kangaroos almost, they were thought to eject their babies. Comparable behavior in two occurrences. One of them is you quoting yourself, and What was that name again? Peter B. Banks. I'm assuming it's the same Banks, right? Right? So, why didn't you cite your own work in your own paper with more detail other than saying Banks, 1997? It doesn't have the proper title for it in the citation. I'm sure it does someplace in the IBIDs and yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's get on with it. Mother animals, we're not going to specifically do marsupials, are notorious for leading predators away from the babies. Birds playing as if they have a bad leg or wing. I mean, it's even done as an example in a cartoon. Leading the predator away and then escaping, or leading the predator away and, again, bashing its head in. I mean, it even happens with sea creatures. There are more than one video I think you can find of dolphins actively wounding horribly a shark out of a group of sharks so that the other sharks realize, oh, we're going to die, and, ooh, Fred's now a meal. The bottlenose is a spear point. They ram their opponents. They actively kill their attackers. Sympathy for the shark. So, let's review. You guys trapped mothers in a cage that is completely foreign to their understanding of how reality works. Cages violate a bunch of rules because there's no way of escaping up, down, right, or left, or down. They can't dig through. So they're stuck in something that is completely incomprehensible to them at that time. And they have a baby with them. And then you come along, open the cage, presumably, to grab them, and then anesthetize them, and find that the baby has miraculously fallen out of the pouch. How could that happen? It must be a natural occurring thing that they do when they're faced with a predator, or scared completely shitless in an unfamiliar environment, and then you anesthetize them that you state in the paperwork made them release the baby. Or maybe, if you're attacking the mother, it will release the baby so it can run away, and the baby survives. But no, it has to be bad mother behavior. An Instagram post is not a scientific paper. The Instagram posting channel, site, whatever, this is like citing TikTok. Why am I doing this video? This meme has an origin story with that one person reposting this as a fact that mother quokkas throw their babies at predators. With their teeny little tiny, T-Rex-like little arms and their big freaking legs they hop around on or whatever the hell they do. I'm going to have to research them more because they're adorable. Oh, you think it's cute? This is like Russian reversal, only I call it Japanese reversal. Oh, isn't it cute? It must be venomous. With all of the creatures in Australia that do absolutely mind-bendingly crazy shit, we're invoking the idea with these four and more that all marsupials have at least some evidence that they throw their young somehow. But no one has a paper about the gray kangaroo doing it. No one has a paper about bicolor swamp wallabies doing it. That there isn't anybody saying any of them do it. They're just doing this one critter because of an assertion, extrapolating it, because maybe the researchers didn't want to take responsibility for causing trauma to a mother and her baby by trapping and anesthetizing it, and maybe causing a population dent. Public disclosure. If any of you who authored these papers or the other ones that are being cited would like to clarify what the fuck you're on about, that would be great. Next, print a retraction and do a study on the effects of wildlife researchers causing harm to the animals they're researching, and be a little bit more honest. That's what it sounds like. That's what it's screaming. And have you changed your practices when you trap them? Like a larger cage with food and a place to hide, which is what you do even when you're trapping squirrels. You give them a place to hide within the cage so you can study them in basically a caged environment and then release them. They're not as stressed out, and if they happen to be carrying a baby, you release them immediately so they can go home. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.